It's a momentous moment for all those who love the Marina circuit and F4 UAE Championship racing. This is the last race of the year to be held on this circuit before we go to the season finale next week at Dubai Autodrome. So, ahead of race 3, what can we tell you? Well, the championship battle is heating up as ever. There's a few more drivers trying to creep their way up to the front end of the field. And of course, it's going to be a very tough race. Race 3 always is in F4, as there are no second chances, no opportunities to let it slip, and plenty of battles on the march. So, get ready for a rip-roarer. It's going to be grandstand seat action. I hope you've got a good one. With only 6 races left of the season and only 2 points between the leaders, you can expect the battles to be relentless in Marina as the F4 UAE Championship rocks into town for the third and final time in 2024. The Mumbai Falcons are still the team to beat, as Freddie Slater holds the advantage despite all 3 of his teammates taking silverware last weekend, with Alex Powell grabbing his maiden win, Kiya Nakamura-Berta getting back in the title fight, and Dion Gauda finally back near the front where he belongs. Back on home soil, the Yazid Academy should be fairly close to the top end, once more with Keanu El-Azari now just 2 points away from the championship lead. His teammate Zach Scholar was robbed in Dubai of massive results. He'll be hoping to put that right in Abu Dhabi. PHM AIX could struggle from this moment onwards, as Nikita Bedrin has departed for Europe. That means that the rising stars Max Popov, Everett Stack and Kamal Murad will now be joined by another Italian star, Davide Larini, son of ex-Ferrari F1 test driver Nicola. Prema is continuing to perform strongly with Rashid Al-Daheri and Dorian Pain, despite neither driver scoring as many points as they deserve to in Dubai. But they'll now have competition from a new teammate, Latvia's karting sensation Thomas Stolchamanis, who could be at the front immediately. The British quartet from High-Tech Pulse 8 also had a tough weekend at round 3, with Deegan Fairclough unable to score and Gabriel Stilp and Reza Suwerthan robbed of top 10 results. Sebastian Murray managed to grab his first points, so this could be a better weekend all round for the 4 men. Over at the Aussie squad AGI Sport, there's plenty of positivity. Jack Beaton has come off the back of his second podium, and this time he gained positions rather than lost them. Nicholas Starty is also gaining both confidence and pace, so this could even be a push to the top 5 in the team's first campaign. Santalox seem to have unbelievable speed, but no fortune at all. Matteo Quintarelli and Yvan David have proved to be good enough to get the podium, so if qualifying goes well, that'll be the game changer, with Colombian Maxi Restrepo ever closer to consistent top 10 pace. So where's Jules Caranta gone, you may ask? Well, he's returned to his original berth at Race GP, where his former teammates Enzo Ye and Lucas Amalisto still reside. But after Enzo Deligny's terrific speed in Dubai, there's now going to be a power play for who will be the quickest Race GP driver from now on. Normal service will be resumed as usual at XL Motorsport, as Liu Kai-shun returns to the official team beside Thiago Rodriguez, who narrowly missed out on a top 5 finish, Alves Bradella, who couldn't convert a reverse grid pole, and Chu Yanpu, who could be a podium scorer if qualifying improves. Finally, the Pinnacle Motorsport team now have more strength in numbers, as the dynamic duo of Kai Darianani and Fu Yuhao are now joined by a talented Japanese warrior, Hyo Yamakoshi, who has a reputation of outperforming his own budget constraints. So this could be a strong debut. So as we get ready for race number 3, it's wonderful to see that here at Marina we have the true Emirati on the grid. In pole position, Rashid Al-Daheri. Rashid, what a brilliant performance that was in time qualifying. Just talk us through the lap from your perspective.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was, I feel like it was a really good lap. We were able to put everything quite well together. There was I think there's always a few bits and pieces that you can improve, but we're going to make sure we know what we need to do for the race 3 and try to, of course, get a good start. It's very important here. Then there's a lot of dirty air, so it's important to manage that out, and we see what happens. Anyways, in racing, everything happens, so we'll see what happens.
Now, this is a circuit that essentially you've grown up on. You've been around in motorsport as long as the circuit has. It's a wonderful opportunity for you to now go for the win on home soil. What has it been like to represent your country and represent the city of Abu Dhabi as the one Emirati on the grid?
Yeah, of course, it's always amazing to be racing here in Marina circuit, and to be able to do pole here is always amazing, because I've grown up here. My passion for the sport started here in Marina circuit, so it's really nice to be able to be racing here, and always racing at my home country is always something special.
And with the Prema Racing team, you've been with this squad for the entirety of the 2023 season out in Italy and in Euro 4. What have you learnt with what is essentially one of the most favoured teams in the sport?
Yes, of course. Prema is a very strong team. They've have a lot of experience from past drivers, and I feel like they're really good at building driver up. So we're trying to improve myself, and also, of course, the team. They're always trying to find the extra edge with the car. So it's I think overall a teamwork and improving overall the car and the driver. So yeah, we'll definitely see how we can prepare as better as possible the race for race 3.
Now, the first 3 weekends of the season, you've had some great speed. The car has come alive very well for you, and you even managed to pick up a podium earlier in the season. But there's been a lot of bad luck as well, particularly in Dubai. How have you been able to turn that around and get yourself back to the front this weekend?
Yeah, unfortunately in Dubai we had a bit of we were missing a bit of luck, but overall, yeah, we were able to understand from last time we came here to Yas Marina circuit what we can improve, and we were able to apply it quite well. You know, I think Dubai was one of those races where you just need to throw it away, just pick out the good things and what we can improve, and then forget about the results, because unfortunately, you know, motorsport, there's a car perspective, and some things happen. So we definitely tried to just understand what we can do here in Yas and try to do that.
Now, obviously, there's a championship battle going on in front of you, 3 drivers, particularly in that fight for the title, but the pressure's off you to a certain extent. Now that you're in pole position on home soil, you can pretty much control the race from your perspective. Is that making it a little bit easier going in, or does that actually add to the pressure knowing you're going to be starting from the front?
No, I think overall, yeah, as you said, there's a few drivers that are competing for the championship. So for me, it's just all about getting the race done, finishing as high as possible, and yeah, at the end it's just managing out my race. I feel like at the end it's like every other one. It's always 28 minutes plus a lap, so we'll try to make that in the least time possible.
And I notice as well that since the championship has been ongoing, as the local here at the championship, you've been all over the press here. You've been in newspaper articles, you've been on television stations. It seems like the country's really getting behind you now that you're up at the front.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, the support is amazing here. I can't express how happy I am that the UAE is really in the passion to motorsport, and I'm very happy that we're able to, let's say, encourage them even more into the sport and into following their dreams, which is the most important thing, to go for what you want and hopefully achieve it. So yeah, very happy that there's amazing support from the country.
Well, heading into race 3, hopefully you're going to become the second Emirati to win in F4 UAE Championship. Good luck with it.
Thank you very much.
And so we come to the third and final race of the weekend here at Yas Marina in the F4 UAE Championship. I'm Jake Sanson, once more here in the booth. My co-commentator is a flask of coffee, as Eddie Izzard would have said. And we are in excitement territory. It's too wet for slicks and it's too dry for wets. The kind of motor race the drivers hate, but the fans love. In this type of circumstance, pretty much everybody has gone the same way in tyre strategy. If in doubt, go slicks. You know more about what they're going to do than the wets are going to do, and it does look as though most of the spray seems to have dissipated from the circuit now. So on balance, it looks as though slicks are the way to go, and it seems to be where pretty much everybody has gone in terms of the battle in front of us. As you heard just then, Rashid Al Daheri going to be starting from pole position on his home circuit. There are a few drivers up and down the grid who live in the United Arab Emirates, either here in Abu Dhabi or in Dubai, but only one of them is the true Emirati on the grid, who has been born and raised here, comes from the family that has resided here their whole generation, and what an amazing opportunity this is for Rashid Al Daheri to claim an Emirate victory. It would only be the second time in the history of the F4 UAE Championship that somebody from the Emirates would actually get to do so, after Hamda Al-Kubaisi managed to get a win here 3 years ago. Kia Nakamura-Berta, though, is in a very exciting position. Lines up second on the grid for this one and has a chance to go for the championship lead. But then so too does the man in third on the starting grid, Kianu Al-Azari, who is definitely best poised and certainly the favoured driver in race 3 to take the lead of the championship, heading to his home city, Dubai, which will take place in the finale next week. Enzo Deligny had a fantastic run in qualifying too. The Red Bull youngster starts in 4th position on the grid for this one. 5th on the grid is going to go the way of Alex Powell, the Mercedes F1 junior, who resides in Miami. That's where he was born and raised, but his uncle, Asafa Powell, was the legendary Olympic athlete. He obviously has roots in Kingston Town, Jamaica, And I know there are going to be various people tuning in from there to watch how their Caribbean king is going to continue his climb to the rise of motorsport's pinnacle. Enzo Ye lining up 6th on the starting grid. Very good qualifying indeed from him in round 4. And he's just come off the back of a confidence-boosting 3rd position in race 2. So there could be more big points for the Race GP driver. Dion Gauda in 7th position, looking very strong indeed for the Mumbai Falcons, as Fu Yuhao gets himself ready to start up in earnest. 8th position on the grid, Dorian Pain, the winner in race 1, eventually, because of course she crossed the line in 2nd place, but was given the victory after it was found that Kia Nakamura-Berta had jumped the start. And a pretty exceptional performance from Dorian Pain. She came away with the pole position, the fastest lap, and the race win. So very impressive, and if there are any Neanderthals who still believe that women can't be equal to men, well, she was the only woman on a grid of 34, and she was the one who got the victory. So time to wire your mouths shut if you believe otherwise. 9th on the grid, Gilles Caranta. A brilliant performance from the young Frenchman for the Race GP team, and he lines up alongside the newest podium scorer, Reza Sawerthan, who managed to come through for 2nd position and score his first championship points in the process. Gabriel Stilp is the most recent winner in the championship. 11th on the grid for this one. In the damp conditions, he's hoping to have just as good a race as he had earlier on to charge his way through from 6th on the grid to grab the victory. It's going to be a much harder task for him from 11th on the grid, of course. Chu Yanpu, the Chinese driver, in 12th position on the grid. Obviously still celebrating his Chinese New Year weekend. And he goes from the 6th row of the starting grid for this one. Alves Rodella, 13th position for the young Italian, hoping for a much better result than he has been able to achieve in the last few races. 14th on the grid for Luca Summerlisto, the Finn. He's hoping for a much better run. He had some good racecraft in the previous race, but it's not really been able to transfer yet into consistent, solid points. Sebastian Murray managed to get a top 5 finish in race 2, and very rightly so indeed he did, as the Scotsman continues his progression over the course of the season. Thomas Stolchamanis, much better in Q2 than he was in Q1. The carbon colours of the all-black machine of his Prema Racing car. 16th on the grid for this one, the Latvian. Could be very interesting to see what he can do. 17th on the grid is Max Popov for the PHM AIX racing team. In fact, he is the leading driver from that squad coming into this particular race after Nikita Bedrin, who is officially 3rd in the championship, is no longer competing in F4 UAE. Then Liu Kai-shun, he's going to be 18th on the grid, the young man from Hong Kong, in front of Jack Beaton, the Australian, for the AGI Sport team. And then rounding out the top 20 is the eternally unlucky Deegan Fairclough, who should have scored a lot more points than he has. But for the last 5 races, he's had nothing but bad luck. Hopefully he's got a rabbit's foot taped to the side of his car, because he's certainly going to need a bit more luck than he's had. Off we go in the formation lap. We haven't even mentioned Freddie Slater yet. He starts from 21st on the grid, and he is, of course, the championship leader, but he made a big error in qualifying 2 and ended up hitting the wall, and as a result, he will have to start this one from 21st position. Opportunity heaven sent for Kia Nakamura-Berta and for Keanu Alazari in particular. They will want to take full advantage of this chance and try and move their way closer to Freddie Slater, if not overtake him in the Drivers' Championship. 22nd on the grid for Matteo Quintarelli. Big problems for him in Q2, but he did bag a top 5 finish in the previous race earlier on today, so he's still got plenty to smile about over the course of the weekend. Then Kai Daryanani, 23rd on the starting grid for the Pinnacle Motorsport driver, who got his big shot in the world of motor racing by beating the very talented Dan Wells on iRacing. Dan was so shocked that someone he'd never heard of before could be as fast and then beat him, that he decided to take him under his wing and coach him in the world of motor racing. It's like something out of a film. Maxi Restrepo, the Colombian, who is masterminded by the 2-time Indy 500 winner and Monaco Grand Prix winner, Juan Pablo Montoya. And Maxi Restrepo hoping for another solid run this weekend, and this is only the last race he has the chance to do it. You can see that the spray has well and truly gone now, but it is still patchy and damp in certain places, so there could be a couple of nasty moments for a few of the drivers out there, and the rain is set to return. Whether it'll return during this race or not, there is a 40% chance of doing so, so we'll have to see if that's going to be enough. And there was a few drops of rain falling on the circuit as I came to the commentary box. Nothing for the drivers to panic about yet, but it could certainly go that way. The Japanese driver is next up, Hyu Yamakoshi, starting 25th on the starting grid on row 13, alongside Zach Skula, who's had a very unfortunate weekend in terms of luck. Qualifying did not go his way at all, and he lines up 26th on the grid for this one. All the way from Macau, Thiago Rodriguez, the man who became the Chinese F4 champion in recent months, He lines up on the 14th row of the grid alongside the Sri Lankan Yavan David, who had to be rushed to the medical centre for precautionary checks after race 2. Both he and Dion Gowda, who had checkovers, are perfectly okay, and they are able to race in race number 3. Raphael Narac, 29th on the grid, the Frenchman, alongside the Italian Davide Lorini, who you would probably guess is the son of Nicola Lorini, and you would be right to guess so. Nicolas Starty, the Australian, lining up 31st on the grid alongside the American talent Everett Stack. And then on the back row of the grid, we have Fu Yuhao of China and Kamal Murad of Australia. So as the cars make their way to the grid, I made a preliminary report on the weather in that it's a little bit too dry for wet tyres and a little bit too wet for slick tyres. It does look as though slicks are more the way to go. You can see that the spray of the water that was stationary on the circuit is now pretty much gone, thanks to the warm-up session in the ALMS, and also to have the Clio Cup is a very different championship, the Clio Cup Middle East Championship out on the circuit. It's definitely helped move that surface water off the racing line. So now we're getting ourselves in for an exciting battle. The full Grand Prix circuit being used for this one after we used the corkscrew in round 1. But the full Grand Prix circuit for rounds 2 and 4, and that means, of course, that with 3 different circuit layouts across 2 racetracks, these guys are eligible for the super license points they will gain in the F4 UAE Championship. Very exciting how things are going to battle in from here. Of course, from the world of F4, which is a national-based championship in all of the various territories that F4 racing happens, you go from F4 to up to Formula Regional, and then from Formula Regional, hopefully to F3, to F2, and then to the big show in Formula 1. So now the competitors are lined up in the very same race circuit that the Formula 1 season ended in 2023. The green flag flies at the back of the field, and we are ready to go racing for the 3rd and final time in the F4 UAE Championship 2024. Can Rashid Al-Aheri lead to turn 1? Let's find out. Great start from Keanu Al-Azari, a bog down from Kia Nakamura Berta. Deligny's going to get past him as well. So Rashid Al-Aheri and Keanu Al-Azari get through to 1 and 2. Deligny into 3rd. Nakamura Berta, a poor start, down to 4th position. He's really going to have to work hard to keep Alex Powell and Dion Gowda off his tail as they work through the first hairpin. Perfect start from Rashid Al-Aheri, bit of a run wide from one of the XLs, and Al-Aheri leads the way in front of his countryman, Keanu Al-Azari, who lives in Dubai. It really is Abu Dhabi versus Dubai. Spots of rain on the camera lens on the first lap. Things could get spicy from here on out as Gabriel Still goes wheel to wheel with Enzo Ye, and right round the outside he gets the move. Brilliant from Gabriel Stilp in the high tech, full of confidence after his race 2 victory, and he's right back at it here. Tippy-toeing their way through, and a spin right in front of the field. Oh my goodness, how has everybody avoided him? That was a big moment there, and fortunately everybody avoided Max Popov, but that was so close. So Popov spins around, and you can see, as I said before, it's too slick for wets, but it's too wet for slicks. So it's very tricky out there as everybody's still trying to get the speed up. And it's very tricky to find grip out there. Gilles Caranta battling with his teammate Enzo Ye. And Dorian Pain getting herself up to speed as well. Enzo Deligny trying to work his magic. And there is Nakamura Berta and Alex Powell, joining with Gabriel Still, who's got through. Gabriel Stilp's just full of confidence on this first lap. And after finding all the best lines in the wet earlier, Gabriel Stilp is the man on the move. He's up to 5th position from what was 11th on the grid. Everybody else still tippy-toeing their way through. There's Deegan Fairclough making a beautiful move on Jack Beaton. And now here comes Freddie Slater trying to work his way forward. And there's a problem on the main straight of Formula 1. And that is the 76. That is Raphael Narac. Now what happened? Back end got loose. And he spews right across the field, gets tagged in there by Yavan David, his teammate, and into the chicane. Enzo Deligny in amongst the 2 young men from the UAE. Safety car. So Enzo Deligny is going to have to rejoin in what I think is going to be 3rd position. But Gabriel still finds himself in 5th, and this is what I was talking about. You've got so many dramas out there on the course. There goes the rear, there goes the front wing that was left on the course, but the safety car has had to come out. But you see there's so little traction to be had on a circuit that's too wet for slicks, too dry for wets. Right in the path of his opponents there, as poor Yavan David crumples over the front wing of Maxi Restrepo. And Raphael Narac gets caught up in that. Hio Yamakoshi appears to have not come through, nor has Thomas Stolgermanis. Max Popov has spun to the back, as we know, but got going again. And there is Raphael Narac. The Frenchman very unhappy on the main straight of Formula 1. And And that is game over for him. Big damage as he went into the path of his teammate Ivan David. Not a lot that he could do to avoid him. And it would not at all shock me if Ivan David ends up having to come into the pits for repairs as well. Just no luck at all for the Frenchman or the Sri Lankan. But Rashid Al Daheri is your leader and looking very good on it at the moment. But the man on the move is Gabriel Stilp, 11th to 5th in one lap. Not even one lap, actually, because he would have stayed there. But look how difficult the grip is. And look, there's windscreen wipers are going on the safety car because the rain has come back. And they're all on slicks. As into the pits comes Hiro Yamakoshi. Look, the rain is coming down in the pit lane. Have we got an opportunity here for a couple of drivers to put wet tyres on and do something incredibly dramatic? So we're on the main straight of Formula One. Rashid Al Daheri leads Keanu Al-Azari and Enzo Deligny. Then it's Kia Nakamura Berta. Now that's interesting because Nakamura Berta was showing as being in third place. And I think Nakamura Berta's had to give that position over to Enzo Deligny. So there could be an interesting conversation between those two as to who is really in third place. Fifth is Gabriel Stilp, having shot up through the grid from 11th to 5th. Sixth is now Alex Powell from Gouda, Sewirthen, Ye, Samalisto and Dorian Bain ahead of Jules Caranta, Jack Beaton and Deegan Fairclough. Freddie Slater already up to 15th. But look at that, the safety car's windscreen wipers are on. The track doesn't have any spray on it, but the rain is coming down. It's not heavy at the moment. It's psychological rain, as we refer to it in motor racing. But if it's still going to be very slippery out there for slick tyres, this could get very, very tricky indeed. Now, F4 UAE is not one for having pit stops normally. There are no mandatory pit stops in this championship. So it's not like the world of Formula 2 or Super Formula where you have to take a mandatory pit stop in the longer races. Let's have a replay of the start. Now look at poor Kia Nakamura Berta. He just bogs down big time as Rashid Al Daheri gets a perfect launch, as does Keanu Al-Azari, as does Enzo Deligny. Look at Gabriel Stilp. Red helmet in the high-tech. He's already taken on 2 cars. Make that 3 cars into turn 1 as he goes wheel-to-wheel with his teammate Reza Sewirthen. And he might even make that into 4. Here's Stilp round the outside of Sewirthen, round the outside of Enzo Ye. Absolutely amazing from Gabriel Stilp. Full of confidence after race 2. Now let's see what happens to... see, that's what happened to Max Popov. He got one wheel on the curb. How did everybody avoid him? That is astonishing. Gabriel Stilp there, right up in the mix there with Alex Powell, dueling away and getting through. Here's the incident between Rafael Narak and Ivan David on the curbs. 2 cars get on the curbs. And poor Ivan David has nowhere to go but into the side of his teammate. And that's why we're under safety car. And it's red flags. Red flags. And the reason for the red flags is because the rain has come down hard. So the rain is coming down very hard here. And of course everybody is on slick tyres. So the race has been red flagged. Now again, that is for safety reasons. Because if everybody is on rain tyres, then that's one thing. But they're not. They're on slick tyres. And the rain has come down very hard, very suddenly. So the race has actually been stopped. And that will give the mechanics a chance to come out of their boxes. The drivers will come into the pits and they can change them to rain tyres safely. Right, so the race has been red flagged due to the deteriorating conditions. Wow, that's a big drama. And certainly that's going to make things particularly interesting. Of course, everybody at this point will take to social media and do their thing. Comparisons to Abu Dhabi 2021 have already started. Come on, guys, move on. But it's time for a very interesting scenario to play out here because the clock has stopped, so this race is going to be restarted rather than rebooted because we have completed the first lap. So as a result of that, you can see the mechanics are already hustling their way to the cars, and that's the reason. Look at the tyres. That's the reason we're going to red flag conditions. If you look in the pit lane, the rain is coming down hard here in pit lane, and there's a lot of shine on those tyres, and that's because the water is coming down on them, and obviously the sunlight, or the lack thereof, is glistening on the tyres, and that tells you that these cars are not going to be safe when they go back out onto the circuit again with slick tyres on. If you can change them to wets, then obviously it's going to be a bit safer. Very rare occurrence in F4 UAE, but they are taking no chances here. And again, based on what we've seen in the past in junior single-seaters. I would rather we took no prisoners and took no chances rather than do the let's see what happens approach. So we are under red flags due to the deteriorating conditions, we think, on the far side of the circuit, because there are patches of the circuit that are still relatively dry, but the rain has come down big time on one part of the course, and that means that it is no longer safe, essentially, for the drivers to be on slick tyres, and it's not a conventional pit stop to change these tyres over. So the race has been red flagged. Now, the race is meant to go until 2:50 local time. There is, of course, an Asian Le Mans race to consider, but there could well be a delay to that. So we'll just have to see how this all plays out. But the race has been red flagged under the circumstances. Again, you have to take into account the fact that these are teenagers, they're not just racing drivers. So the race has been red flagged after the incident that we saw on the first lap, and of obviously the reduced levels of grip that we are set to have. Look at the pit lane wall. That tells you everything you need to know about how quickly the weather is deteriorated. There's a lot of water on that pit wall now, and it was fairly dry a short while ago. So under the circumstances, it made a lot of sense to call the teams in. So tyres are being prepared for certain teams. It's wet tyres that they are being called up for, and they're going to change them over because there are certain patches of the circuit that are going to be fairly wet. 10 minutes board at 2:24. So that means that we should be going to race starting conditions again at 3:34. They will leave the pit lane, do one lap behind the safety car, and then we'll go racing again. The alternative, of course, was to keep going behind the safety car and see what the weather did, and that would eat into the race time, and that's not really the direction and the path that we should be taking. So the order under red flag conditions: Rashid Al Aheri is leading, Keanu Al-Azari is second. The locals here are loving that. The United Arab Emirates are first and second for Rashid Al Aheri and Keanu Al-Azari. Kia Nakamura-Berta, despite having such a poor start, is in third position. Very much looking good to overtake Freddie Slater in the Drivers' Championship at this phase. Then Enzo Deligny in fourth position. Gabriel Stilp, who is the master of the wet conditions here at Yas Marina, as we saw from race 2, is now in fifth position, having originally started in 11th. Sixth place for Alex Powell, seventh for Dion Gauda, eighth for Reza Sawerthan, ninth is Enzo Ye, 10th is Lucas Amalisto, 11th is Dorian Bain, and then in 12th place it is Gilles Caranta in front of Jack Beaton, Deegan Fairclough and Freddie Slater. Then Chuyan Pu, Sebastian Murray, Zach Skula, Alvis Bradella, Kai Darianani, Luca Shun, Matteo Quintarelli, Kamal Murad, Fuyu Hao, Davide Larini, Tiago Rodriguez, Everett Stack, Nicholas Starty, Yvan David, Maxi Restrepo, Max Popov and Hiyu Yamakoshi. There were just 2 retirements as far as I'm aware. Rafael Narak, who you saw park up, and Thomas Stolchamanis, who you didn't. But obviously now, things are very different down here in pit lane, and there is not really a waft of activity, because it seems as though the red flag has been called and then the rain has stopped again. So, essentially, a massive amount of rain to fall when they're all on slick tyres. The red flag is the right decision, but it seems to have stopped again. So now, the million-dollar question is, what tyres do you put the drivers on? Do you put them on the slicks that they started with, or do you change the tyres and put them on wets? Because if the rain has stopped, then long-term, with 22 minutes left of the race, you would think, well, maybe it'll dry out. But of course, there is a 60% chance that the rain is going to intensify at about 3 o'clock. So this is such a difficult call. This is the toughest race of the weekend so far, not for the drivers, but for the engineers. What do you do? Do you keep them on slicks? Do you put them on wets? What do you do? This is very much about rolling the dice and seeing what happens. It would have been quite clear-cut if the rain had carried on as it had been at the red flag. But this is an absolute nightmare at the moment, because we don't really know. Neither of the engineers, they don't know either. Should they keep the cars on slick tyres or should they put them on wets? So Ken Heathcote says, watch them put the wets on and the sun comes out. Poor kids can't win. Give them a break and let them race whatever the weather. Well, I get what you're saying, but again, we have to reiterate, they are teenagers. Mark Tucker writes, they got them into the pits to change tyres and the teams don't want to do it because it's not really wet enough. Well, that camera lens shows you that the rain is coming down, but it's only coming down at various parts of the course. It's not there all the time. So Andrew Stable says you should go ahead and watch race 2. I'd agree with that. I'm surprised they got that going, but they actually did extremely well keeping the cars on track and keeping it clean until the last 2 laps. Well, yes, you're absolutely right, but this is a very different situation because at least then in race 1, we knew it was bone dry. In race 2, we knew that wet tyres were the only option. This is different because now we're in the most impossible weather conditions imaginable for motor racing because it's too wet for slicks and it's too slick for wets. Well, certainly Max Popov, they're going to change to wet tyres. So that's what they're deciding to do. Is that the mother of all gambles? And if it is it going to work out? So the team have obviously decided that in Max Popov's case, time to change to wet tyre. Hang on a minute. I thought for a minute there they weren't going to change the rear tyres. They are going to change the rear tyres. That would have been interesting. They go half and half. You can't go half and half, of course. You have to make sure that they're all the same compound. So wet tyres are going on to Max Popov's car. But on this occasion, is that the right choice? Big debate. Very big debate here. Certainly at the front end of the field, they've decided to stick with slicks. And there's a lot of head scratching, a lot of shaking of heads, a lot of people looking at the weather up in the clouds. What are they doing? XL have decided they're going for wet tyres. The thing is, if you're down in the pack, you may as well roll the dice. You may as well go for a gamble. Quintarelli's gone wet tyres as well, I notice. But some drivers are going slicks, some are going wets, and it's clearly a situation of, well, why don't we just try it? What is there to lose? It has started raining again, but only at various points of the course. Now, Rindy Tech Entertainment says why they haven't mandated the tyre at this point. Well, the thing is, the weather radar is as accurate as the water falling out of the sky at the moment. According to my weather application, it says there is a 60% chance that it's going to rain heavy at about 3 o'clock. There's a 40% chance it's going to rain mildly about now. So this is the mother of all nightmares, essentially, for the engineers. What do you do? Do you go slicks or do you go wets? Certainly at the front, it appears there's no change. Rashid Al-Daheri, Keanu El-Azari and Enzo Deligny have all decided to stick with slick tyres. Now, interestingly, Enzo Deligny has found himself in front of Kia Nakamura Berta again. So Nakamura Berta has let Enzo Deligny go and finds himself in 3rd position. So let's see how this all continues. This is a fascinating situation. And Danny.com has put it right. Looks like the back markers are gambling. Well, they may as well. You know, if you're out of position, you may as well try something different. Quite a few of the teams towards the tail end are deciding to go for wet tyres, because if it's wet in certain patches, you may as well do something different to everybody else and hope that it works. Matteo Quintarelli on wet tyres. So too is one of the pinnacles. I think that's Hiro Yamakoshi. Alves Rodella's gone on to wets. So too has Fu Hao. But staying on slicks is the Australian Kamal Murad and the PHM AIX team. They think slicks is the way to go. So does the Yas Heat Academy, and so does Prema by the look of it. So they think that slicks is the right option. But the thing is, it might be the right option now, but in 5-10 minutes, it could be completely the wrong option. So if you're out of the points anyway, you may as well gamble. This is a real head-scratcher. Ken Heathcote writes, this tyre chess game is making for some great drama. It certainly is. This is when the racing drivers are absolutely in the hands of their engineers, and they are in absolute catch-22. If you gamble and it goes wrong, at least you tried, but there's nothing to come from this race. I noticed the AGI Sport Team guys have just gambled on wet tyres as well. They're leaving this change of tyres as late as humanly possible. But this is an impossible scenario. Half of you guys are going to get it right. Half of you are going to get it very, very wrong. And in the first lap, it might be the right call. But give it 10 minutes, it could be completely the wrong call. This is so tricky. And as Alvaro B points out, the Spa 2023 Formula 3 vibes are real. Completely agree with you. This is very tricky. Who gets this right? Well, Sebastian Murray has gone on to wet tyres, I notice. The 56 car of XL Motorsports, Alves Rodella, has elected... Oh, sorry, no, that's the Chinese driver Chuyan Pu, my apologies, has gone on to slicks. Freddie Slater's gone wets. That's interesting. Well, he's out of the points. So again, he may as well gamble. So Freddie Slater has decided to gamble. Here's a replay of the start. And this is what we were talking about before, about the track being too wet for slick tyres, but too slick for wet tyres. There's just very little traction to be had. And watch the difference in the lines that the drivers take through turn one. You can't see any spray, but there's a lot of water still on the circuit in various points. It's just damp patches. Steelber's got a bit more confidence than the others based on what he did in race 2, so he can run around the outside and throw the gauntlet. For everybody else, it's just really tricky in terms of grip. Watch this from Max Popov. He just got one wheel on the curb, that's all it took. And everybody else essentially had to take avoiding action. So absolutely disastrous for Max Popov, and I think Thomas Stonchamani's got caught up in that as well. Meanwhile, on the home straight, we're about to see Rafael Narak go out of the race. Ready, on the curbs, hits the throttle, and he swaps ends. Jovan David's got nowhere to go but into him. Nasty from the Santalog trio, and that's what brought out the red flag. Well, that and the fact that it suddenly started raining very heavily at various points on the circuit. Under 1 minute, the race will resume under safety car. There you go. It says it for yourself. Very loud and clear there on the timing screen. But now we have a real strategy mind game. Who's got this right? Some of the drivers have elected to go onto slicks. Some of them have elected to go onto wets. It is so tough to tell. And I cannot stress enough, this is the worst conditions for a motor race. You can't decide which tyre is right. And at various points in the race, one decision is right, one decision is wrong. But it could change mid-race. So this is about maturity, keeping your wits about you, and a really mature composure. The safety car is about to leave the pits to send them out. Half of them are going to be on slicks, half of them are going to be on wets, and we have no idea who's going to get it right until they cross the finish line at the end of the last lap. It could change several times. So certainly for Rashid Al Daheri and Kiano Al-Azari, the two young men who live here in the United Arab Emirates and who carry the UAE flag on their cars, it is very much time to keep it nice and calm. They've both gone slick tyres. Fascinating view of the steering wheel of a F4 UAE car. As we zoomed in there on Maxi Restrepo's car. It's going to be really fascinating. So who's got this right and who's got this wrong? Wet tyres or slick tyres? We're about to find out, probably in the most dramatic way possible. It doesn't sound like that big a deal, but you cannot begin to comprehend how big a disaster it will be when the teams that have chosen a certain tyre have got it wrong. It will literally ruin their race. The timer has started again, worth pointing out. Thanks for that, Danny. Because obviously we go to safety car conditions now as we leave the pits, so the timer is still ticking, or has started ticking again, I should say. We should only get one lap behind the safety car and then we'll go racing. But which drivers and which engineers have masterclassed this? Was wet tyres the right call, or were slick tyres the right call? At the moment, you would say possibly slicks, because there's no spray, but there are certain parts of the course where the wet tyres will grip better. Interestingly, what's Gabriel Stilp done? I didn't figure out, actually, I didn't see in the pit lane whether he went slicks or whether he went wets. Well, Samalisto's definitely done slicks. I'll be interested to see what Gabriel Stilp has done with his tyres. Has he gone wets? No, he's gone slicks. So he's essentially started his race reboot to match the four drivers in front of him. That's probably very sensible for Gabriel Stilp, actually, to match what the drivers around him are doing. But in 6th place, Alex Powell is the leading driver on wets. Now, that's either going to go very well or very wrong. And there's Freddie Slater, the championship leader, who has also gone on to wet tyres. This is such a tough race we've got coming for us now. You can see for yourself that there is water on the circuit, but it's not very thick. It's not sprays of water. It's just damp patches here and there. This could be the toughest race we have ever seen in F4 UAE. I've never known a situation like this before, where you've got these kind of unpredictable weather conditions in the United Arab Emirates. I've seen it before in Italy, I've seen it before in Spain, seen it in the UK, seen it in France. In the UAE, this is completely different. So the safety car disappearing. Here's Rashid Al Daheri about to get them moving. And I think we're still under safety car, actually, so we're going to go around and do another lap. We're not going straight to green. See, look, down the back straight, you've got big wet patches. It's not dried out. This is fascinating. Who is going to get the tyres right here? Now, Arda Ricci wants to ask, is the pit box open if they want to change to slicks at this point? Well, they can, but you lose so much time in changing tyres mid-race. It takes a good 30 seconds, 40 seconds or so. It's not like a Formula One pit stop where you've got so many people around it you can't breathe the car. You know, those pit stops take 2 seconds. An F4 UAE, a good tyre change, will take you at least 30 to 40 seconds. So there's no point doing it. Because even if it's the right tyre to be on, you're going to lose so much time coming into the pit, as into the pits comes Van David. Now, interestingly, he's got two very different side pods to each other. One is in Santaloc blue, one is in standard Tartus black. So he's clearly, that's come back from his incident in race 2. He is going to change tyres. He's doing it under safety car. Now that could be a masterstroke for Van David. He's got out on the circuit and he's felt, you know what? Wets are the wrong call. We're going slicks. So Van David has decided it's not wet enough. Let's go back to slicks. Well, I suppose all he's going to do is go to the back of the queue, but he's going to overtake a whole waft of drivers on wet tyres if he's got this right. So, it could well be that the bat will rise from the back of the grid. Everyone in Colombo is now off their chairs, standing and shouting at the television, come on, Van, you can do this. But from the back of the grid, it's going to be so difficult. But there is Jack Beaton on wets. And I noticed just behind him is Deegan Fairclough on slicks, and behind him is Freddie Slater on wets. It literally is guess, gamble. But I think Freddie Slater and everybody else on wet tyres could well have got this wrong for the moment. Whether it changes in the later stages of the race, that's another question. Safety car in at the end of this lap. But just because wet tyres could be wrong now doesn't mean they'll be wrong in 5 minutes. The key is going to be look after the wet tyres while it's the wrong choice, because if it does rain, then you need the tyres to be in the best condition possible to have some traction. Because if you overcook the wet tyres in the dry, they won't bite anyway. This is such an unbelievable chess strategy. So Rashid Al-Daheri backing the field up big time. Keanu El-Azhari second, then Deligny, Nakamura Berta still. Watch for him in 5th place. He could be the absolute barnstormer of this restart. He's got more confidence in these damp conditions than anybody else. Maybe not as much experience, but certainly more confidence. Alex Powell is P6, and he's on wet tyres. So this could be a very dramatic restart. 7th is Gouda, then Sawurthan, Ye, Samalisto, Pan, Caranta, Beaton, Fairclough, and Freddie Slater, who is on wet tyres. Who's going to get this right? Al-Daheri trying to catch Keanu El-Azhari out on the restart. He's going very slow. Will he drop the hammer? Now he drops the hammer. Okay, so Rashid Al-Daheri is going to launch for the first corner, but there's not a lot of traction. Let's see what happens. Who's got it right? Slicks or wets? It's green, 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 green here in Yas Marina. And already they're still having to warm up the tyres as they head to the first corner in race conditions. So Keanu El-Azhari trying to follow in pursuit of Rashid Al-Daheri. Looks like slicks was the way to go for the moment, as round the outside of Alex Powell. That looks to me like Reza Sawurthan. Oh no, sorry, that's Alex Powell going wide in front of us, but Reza Sawurthan is going to try and take on Dion Gouda on the approach to the W Hotel, as Gabriel Still is going to attack Nakamura Berta and drift off the road. He gets back on without losing too much time, but Alex Powell has dropped the anchor out of the back of his car. He's lost all grip. Dion Gouda's gone through. Here comes Sawurthan. It's very, very dramatic now and very blindingly obvious that slicks was the way to go, but Gabriel still runs wide. Alex Powell trying to keep the car pointed in the right direction, but there's no tread as Keanu El-Azhari goes wheel to wheel with Rashid Al-Daheri. Here comes Enzo Deligny on the far side. Deligny might have a shot here. Nakamura Berta trying to keep himself in the hunt, and round the outside, Deligny to second. Goes on the curves, keeps his foot on the gas, and drops to 4th place. Nakamura Berta splits the two Yazid cars. Brilliant work as Nakamura Berta gets into second. Keanu El-Azhari's got to stay on the road here. He can take the championship lead. Especially now that Slater on wet tyres is going to be going backwards. Still to the far side of Deligny. He's going to go long. Very long. Is there going to be enough traction? There is. Gabriel Stilp to fourth. Don't tell me he's going to pull this off again. Amazing from Stilp. Up into fourth position for the high-tech team. Ollie Oakes and the boys will be willing him on. And here comes Reza Sawerthan. He's going to try and take on Dion Gouda. Full confidence from him as well. Kiano Alazari, he's going to have Stilp to the inside. Stilp's got nothing to lose, so he goes for it. And they tiptoe their way through the chicane. Very little grip indeed. Alazari trying to stay there. He loses traction to Stilp and Deligny. So Stilp's through to third. Deligny could be through to fourth. Keep it on the road, Keanu. There's a lot of championship points at stake here. Keep it on the road. Side by side for Deligny and Alazari, but also for Sawerthan alongside Gouda. And Sawerthan is through. Deligny is past Alazari round the outside. It's still very slippery, still very greasy. Even on slick tyres, they're not exactly the perfect choice. So Deligny and Alazari still side by side, careful. And Sawerthan is going to have pressure from Gouda. Gouda will dive up the inside and he gets back past Sawerthan. Enzo Ye now into 8th position. Fairclough to 9th position, back in the points. And Samalisto is 10th. Slater is in 13th. Alex Powell is all the way down in 16th. That just shows you how big a mistake going on wet tyres really was. Oh, and a big tag slapper from Fairclough. What a save, though. So let's see what happened out of the final turn. That is Scular. So Zach Scular going around. And it looks as though he had a problem elsewhere. That was Sebastian Murray going with him. And look at this, desperately trying to get grip in the tyres as they come through that same turn. And another spinner at the background, that's one of the AGIs. I think that's Nicola Starty going around. And Matteo Quintarelli going wheel to wheel. If you're on wet tyres, this is the mother of all mistakes. Just look at everybody struggling. Alex Powell, the back end of the car sliding around. It's like Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift out there at the moment if you're on wets. Meanwhile, Aldeheri leads the way from Nakamura Berta and Gabriel Stilp. Stilp is in 3rd position, chasing down Nakamura Berta. Nakamura Berta has a heck of a lot to lose here. Stilp has nothing to lose, and he's going to go for it on Nakamura Berta. Nakamura Berta locks the tyre. Stilp's going to put his nose on the inside and make Nakamura Berta back out of it. Brilliant from Stilp. I'm having this move, and there's nothing you can do about it. Gabriel Stilp wrestles his way to 2nd. Now Enzo Deligny going to take on Kiano Alazari for 4th. Side by side down the straight. This is going to be about who breaks first. Careful, Keanu. Enzo's got nothing to lose either. And Enzo Deligny will go right round the outside, the Red Bull young gun. Superb. Can he finish the move? Yes, he can. Absolutely brilliant from Deligny. Up into 4th position he goes. 1 place from the podium. And the Red Bull youngster showcases why they picked him in the first place. So this is the spin from Starty. Whoops. Very easily done. He just got 1 wheel on the curb again. Hit the throttle a little bit too eagerly. And the car pirouettes around. And into the pits comes Sebastian Murray. He's going to change to slick tyres. He may as well. He could make a lot of gains here. A lot of drivers who are on wets have got it very badly wrong. So just to give you an idea of how difficult the conditions are, Rashid Aldeheri's just done a 2:04.9. Freddie Slater on wets has done a 2:11.8. So the cars are about 7 seconds a lap slower on wets than they are on slicks, roughly. And a big run wide there from one of the Santalocks going off the road. That looks to me like Matteo Quintarelli, I think, as Luca Schun battles away here with Kai Darianani. And round the outside, brilliant from Luca Schun, but he goes off the road, somehow saves the car. Goodness me, that was a proper tag slapper. Rejoins behind Matteo Quintarelli, who is struggling to get the car turned in. And that is Thiago Rodriguez now trying to come around the outside of his teammate Luca Schun. So the 2 teammates, Liu and Rodriguez, having a great duel with each other. And watch out, because you've got a PHM AIX hot on your 6. That looks like Kamal Murad to me, who's made massive gains, but unfortunately, in the wet conditions, he's still only going to be the best of the wet drivers. Here come the slickers, and look at Stilp, all over the back of Rashid Aldeheri once again. Can Rashid Aldeheri shake off the British star, Gabriel Stilp, who has so much confidence in the damp conditions here? He's so used to it, of course, from his karting days, from his recent single-seater days. Now there's a car in front of them. That is the AGI Sport of Nicolas Starty, who was about to be lapped. So through they come again, and Rashid Al Daheri has actually got traffic. That doesn't happen often in F4 UAE. Reza Sawerthan closing up on Keanu Al-Azari. This is going to be very tight in the championship at the end of this race, that is for sure. But Freddie Slater tiptoeing around in 16th place. He's going to have to just knock this round on the head. No points from Abu Dhabi. Hit the reset button and go to battle again in Dubai. There's Zach Scolar. So Zach Scolar doing his best to continue on his way through. And there's a big opportunity here for Liu Kai-shun up the inside of Matteo Quintarelli. Quintarelli tries again, and around the outside, Liu gets the job done. Excellent work. Now this is a replay of Liu Kai-shun and Thiago Rodriguez locking up into the back of Quintarelli. And somehow they keep going. How on earth did they get away with that one? So there's damage to both cars, but with the lap times reduced as they are, they can just keep going. Oh, Gabriel Still, big wobble. That's enough for Nakamura Berta to get back through into second place. Stilp's going to come back at him, almost locking wheels, and Stilp drifts wide. Enzo Deligny has a chance now to get into third place, which he does. This battle for second place is going to be electric. Rashid Al Daheri can scamper away. Thanks a million, guys. I'm going to take the win. And that's a slowing Mumbai Falcon. That's Nakamura Berta. Nakamura Berta slowing. Oh, my goodness. From the glory man yesterday in the victory to a penalty to 2 retirements. Nakamura Berta has no luck at all on Sunday here in Yas Marina. And now Stilp is down to 4th. Here comes Keanu Al-Azari. He's back for more. 8 minutes left on the clock. Keanu Al-Azari, wheel to wheel with Enzo Deligny. Watch Gabriel Stilp. He's going to try and get both of them. Stilp's got damage to his front wing. Al-Azari's going to try and go the long way round on Deligny. It worked for him earlier. Can it work for Al-Azari? There's enough room. And Keanu Al-Azari's going to get second. Is he? Deligny on the far side keeps his foot in, but Al-Azari gets it. Brilliant from Keanu Al-Azari. That is a champion's move. And he's certainly looking to be the leader of the championship. Now that Nakamura Berta's gone, now that Slater's on wet tyres, this is Keanu Al-Azari's golden opportunity. And he's taking it with both hands. Brilliant from Keanu Al-Azari. Still drifts wide. Careful, don't play with that curb anymore, Gabriel. And look at this, at the back of the queue is Deegan Fairclough. Where did he come from? Fairclough started all the way back in about 20th, and now he's in the fight for the podium. Amazing. Well, that just shows you why Rocket have put their faith in Deegan Fairclough. They were only supposed to give him 1 year, but they felt, no, there's something on here. Give him another chance, and Yavan David drifts wide. But look at Rashid Al Daheri. It's a fairy tale in the lead. 7 minutes left. If he can just keep this lead fairly stable, then he can win on home soil. That would be an absolute fairy tale. Look at the battle further back as Yavan David climbs his way through past the wet tyre runners and past a fair few of the slick drivers as well. So Yavan David is going through this field beautifully now that he's on slicks. That was such a decision to drop to the back of the field and go on to slicks. As Yavan David's now having a terrific race as a big twitch there from Liu Kai-shun. Everett Stack trying to come around the far side of him. And also in there, that is Davide Larini, I do believe, the new boy in PHM AIX. Trying to go on the far side of the hairpin. Talk about a tough weekend to make your debut in the championship. Here comes Deegan Fairclough, trying to take on Dion Gowda. Still's got big problems with that front wing. Deegan Fairclough, hustling Gowda. I'm going to have you, just accept it. And he absolutely switcheroos him. Brilliant from Deegan Fairclough. Gowda's got to try and keep his foot in. He goes onto the curb, and Fairclough's going to have this. Superb, but Gowda keeps his foot in, and Fairclough drifts wide. Lock up from Enzo Deligny. He's going to fall into the clutches of Stilp. And somehow Gowda remains in front of Fairclough, and there is Reza Sawerthan. Further back, there's more drama as Liu Kai-shun goes around the outside of Larini and almost right into the back of Jack Beaton. Davide Larini dueling with his teammate Everett Stack at the first corner. So at least the PHM AIX drivers are learning on the job by racing each other and trying to take on the Australian Jack Beaton. And he's going to go right round the outside of him. Davide Larini, what a move! That is so brave. on the run past the Marina. Yes, I know that Beaton's on wet tyres, but you've still got to have the confidence to make that work. And Davide Larini just stormed in round the outside. Superb, absolutely terrific. That's a gambler's move, and Davide Larini pulls it off. So now we've got Aldeheri, Alazzari, Deligny, Still, Gouda, Fairclough and Sawurthen. The top 7, all close together. Samalisto's doing a terrific job in PA. Almost under the radar, the Finn, in front of Enzo Ye, and in 10th place through all of this. The final point is going the way again of Dorian Pain. So very impressive work. Davide Larini now trying to take on his teammate, Everett Stack. And Davide Larini definitely getting into Nikita Bedrin's hot seat and doing a very good job with it indeed. So excellent work for Davide Larini. Had a very tough year last year in Italian F4, and absolutely storms in on Everett Stack. That'll do nicely. So Davide Larini proving he really is a chip off the old block. I'm sure Nicola will be delighted sat in pit lane watching this boy do his best work. That'll prepare him nicely for Italian F4 later this year. And out up at the front end of the field. This is still tough racing as Still is struggling to hold this car. Big lock-up for him now. And Dion Gouda wants a piece of it. Gouda wants to get through in a 4th position past Gabriel Stilp, who's got damage to his front wing. It's not enough for a technical flag, but it's certainly still there or thereabouts. So Gabriel Stilp has got to try and hold on to 4th position. They both drift out wide. Big lock-up from Stilp. Fortunately for him, Gouda went wide as well. Oh, and a big slide from Reza Sawurthen. That's going to be enough, I think, for Lucas Samalisto to get through into 7th place. It is indeed. So Samalisto up to P7. Fairclough closing up on Gouda. Gouda trying to catch out Gabriel Stilp. Just put a little bit of moisture on the circuit, not enough to be clear whether it's wets or slicks, and give these guys an open racetrack to play with. Magnificent entertainment. And these are even tougher conditions than they saw in race 2, because it's not dry, it's not wet, it's somewhere in between. Slicks are the way to go, but they're not exactly the good choice, as Dorian Pain up the inside of Enzo Ye, and she moves up into 9th position. Great racecraft from the Iron Dame. So Dorian Pain can still make up some places. Here comes Dion Gouda. Attack, attack. He's going for it on Gabriel Stilp. Stilp is leaving him no room to play with. Either side of the circuit. So Gouda's going to have to commit. Locks wheels. How did they stop that without a proper collision? Incredible. And now Deegan Fairclough thinks he's got space. So close to the wall. Fairclough lucky to hang on to that. Well done, Deegan. So now Reza Sawurthen's going to take on Samalisto again. Draws level. He'll get a tiny bit of side draft. Can he go the long way round into turn 1? He certainly pulled that off in race 2. Can Sawurthen finish this? Samalisto's still there. They both go a little bit wide. But Sawurthen keeps his foot in. Beautiful! Just as he did in race 2. He does it again on Samalisto. Awesome from Sawurthen. Now Samalisto's going to come back at him. But he's going to have to be a little bit more tentative on the brakes. And look who's come back to the party. It's Dorian Pain. She wants to move into 8th place now. That'll do nicely if she can. And the leading rookie is currently Reza Sawurthen. As into the pits to retire comes Kamal Murad. 1 minute to go. This is actually the rookie race we're watching here, because we've got Samalisto, Sawurthen and Dorian Pain all in the fight for the Rookie Cup victory. Enzo Ye is in that battle as well. Dorian Pain trying to take on Samalisto. And into the pits comes Freddie Slater. It's game over for the championship leader. For how much longer, though? Is he going to be the championship leader? Because Keanu Alazzari, driving a superb race in 2nd, is about to take the lead of the championship by 16 points. Nakamura Berta is out. Freddie Slater is out. Keanu Alazzari, the boy from Dubai, is about to take the championship lead as Alex Powell almost goes clean into the back of Fuyu Hao. He found the only patch of the circuit left that still had water on it. Samalisto back in front of Sawurthen. This is the Rookie Cup win. And here comes Dorian Pain. And Enzo Ye's riding behind her. 4 cars battling for the Rookie Cup win. Samalisto trying to hold off Dorian Pain. She's going to get them both! Dorian Pain is going to go from 3rd in rookie to the lead. No, she runs wide. Sawurthen gets tagged by Ye. Samalisto overshoots. Who's going to be leading rookie? For the moment, it's Samalisto, but there could be a penalty coming. And there's damage to Ye's wing after the contact with Sawurthan. Oh my goodness. We're on the penultimate lap. And there is Rashid Al Daheri being caught rapidly by Kiana Al-Azari. Al-Azari is still only about 9/10 of a second behind Rashid Al Daheri. If either of them makes a mistake, the other one is going to benefit big time. As Sawurthan and Dorian Pain now fight for the rookie victory as they try to close back up on Samalisto, and that wing has caused all sorts of problems for Enzo Ye. He's now lost ground to Chu Yan Pu. He's going to lose out to his teammate here, Jules Caranta, who drives around the outside of him. Come on, Enzo, get out of the way, says Jules. You've got a broken wing. And Jules Caranta will go right round the outside and get the job done. Unlucky for Enzo Ye. He got a podium earlier. He's not going to get one in this race. It's game over for him. He's not even going to get the rookie podium now. So what will happen to Samalisto? Will Samalisto now end up getting a penalty for gaining an advantage off the road? And if so, it'll be Sawurthan and Dorian Pain that will fight for the Rookie Cup victory. Kiana Al-Azari, meanwhile, is just trying to close up on Rashid Al Daheri. It's going to be an amazing day in the damp clouds for the United Arab Emirates locals here. They're going to have a wonderful race to celebrate. Rashid Al Daheri leading, Kiana Al-Azari second. This is so many years of hard work for the United Arab Emirates since they came into the pinnacle of motor racing in Formula One in 2009 with the Yas Marina circuit. In fact, even before that, 5 years before with Dubai Autodrome, 20 years of racing in the UAE have been leading up to this moment. Stilp gets his run on the inside of Gouda to defend further back. But this is about legacy. This is about building something. When Matthew Norman teamed up with Mohammed Ben Sulayem, who is the current FIA president, to create this fantastic championship back in 2016. They wanted to build something, a legacy for young drivers to work their way forward into the upper echelons of motor racing. They've done it with the El-Kubaisi sisters. Now they're going to do it with Kiana Al-Azari and Rashid Al Daheri, who are battling their way forward here in similar colours. But they are the colours of the Yas Heat Academy, based here in the United Arab Emirates, based here on the Yas Marina circuit. And it's going to be fabulous to see how they continue. Now, Gabriel still has a car that can point in the right direction, would you believe, in front of Dion Gouda and Deegan Fairclough. Enzo Ye has been given the black and orange flag, by the way. So he's got a technical flag. He's not going to be able to finish the race. Deegan Fairclough, though, is still swarming all over the back of Dion Gouda. He senses that a top 5 finish is still on. Gabriel Stilp looks in his mirror to try and drop the Indian, who races under a British licence. Don't forget, these three are used to racing each other because they duelled with each other together in British F4 last year. And they're now battling for 4th position on the final lap of the final race of the weekend, with 3 races in the championship to go at Dubai Autodrome next week. But out in front, it is the Yas Heat colours. Team boss Matthew Norman will be delighted. As up the inside, that's Fu Yuhao going in on Sebastian Murray. Murray's going to get back on him. But here come the 2 boys from the United Arab Emirates. Rashid Al Daheri may be in the Prema Racing awning, but he is still Yas Heat through and through. So too is Kiana Al-Azari. What a fairy tale this is for the United Arab Emirates. The future of motorsport looks incredibly bright. They're both going to come through to the podium. But for the first time in 2024, Rashid Al Daheri wins at Yas Marina. That is absolutely fantastic. Rashid Al Daheri wins from pole position when everybody else was getting it wrong, when everyone else had pressure. Drop positions, gain positions back, drop positions, gain them back. Only one man was rock solid throughout, and that man was Rashid Al Daheri. Finally his breakthrough victory. And it's such a moment for him. I've been watching this young lad through his karting journey, very similar to Kiana Al-Azari. Great to see them 1 and 2. Rashid Al Daheri takes his first win. Kiana Al-Azari takes the lead of the championship. Nobody from the United Arab Emirates has ever won the F4 UAE Championship. That could be about to change. And I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of headlines in tomorrow's local press, both here in Abu Dhabi and back in Dubai, because these 2 boys have shown the world what they can do. Rashid Al Dhaheri of Abu Dhabi, the true Emirati on the grid, becomes the second ever Emirati to win in F4 UAE after Hamda Al Khubaisi 3 years ago on this very circuit. Now it's Rashid Al Dhaheri's turn. Oh my goodness, the festivities and the celebrations are going to be epic tonight. It's a Yas Heat 1-2, technically speaking. Yes, Rashid Al Dhaheri runs in the Prema Racing awning, but he is still supported by Yas Heat. This is fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. And third position for the Red Bull youngster, Enzo Deligny, in only his 6th race in the United Arab Emirates. Truly sensational. It is always wonderful to watch these guys take their breakthrough victory. When you've watched them from their karting days, and you've seen them as a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, trying to find the right developmental path, the right team, the right equipment, the right money, the right process to come through. This is a landmark. And here in the United Arab Emirates, they've been waiting a long time for drivers that can be Formula One worthy. Now, we're getting a collection of them. It may have taken 20 years, but this is the start of something magical. Get ready, because this is just going to keep on going. Rashid Al Dhaheri in front of Kiano Al-Azari. 1 and 2 for the United Arab Emirates here at Yas Marina. You couldn't write it. Absolutely fantastic. And the celebrations are already underway. It's a jubilant podium for Enzo Deligny, Kiano Al-Azari and Rashid Al Dhaheri. Jubilation. This podium is going to be a very good one indeed. Well done to the Prema Racing team. Well done to Rashid Al Dhaheri. And this could be the first of many. His whole family is here. What an amazing spectacle. The podium is coming. Absolutely incredible racing here in F4 UAE. It really has been sensational to see the weekend play out like this. And it's been fantastic for the United Arab Emirates in particular. This is a real fairy tale, first and second. But Rashid Al Daheri, our latest winner in the championship, who is right from here in Abu Dhabi, and Kiano Al Azari, who lives and was raised here in Dubai. And then in third position, Enzo Deligny. Fantastic performance from the young Frenchman to be in third position. The Red Bull Junior doing such a great job and getting his first podium in only his 6th race in the championship. Gabriel Stilt, fourth position in front of Dion Gouda and Deegan Fairclough. And Lucas Samalisto, provisionally the winning rookie, in front of Reza Sawerthan and Dorian Pin. The final point going the way of Chuyan Pu. And of course, this all means we now have a new championship leader. His name is Kiano Al Azari. 3 races to go, and they're all going to be on his home circuit in Dubai. What an opportunity. He now leads the championship by 16 points. It's a phenomenal opportunity for Kiano Al Azari, and I'm sure that half of the motor racing fraternity in Dubai are going to be there to see the young lad push for glory. Absolutely terrific stuff. But it's not done yet. There are still 75 points available for the championship. Freddie Slater and Kian Nakamura-Berta will not give up. They will push all the way. So in third position, Enzo Deligny. A fantastic performance from him as he will make his way to the podium. A great performance from the Red Bull Junior. He did say he wanted to get podiums when he was here. Well, he's done that already. Kiano Al Azari, the new championship leader in F4 UAE 2024. 3 races to go, 16 points ahead. Anything's possible from now on. But the new winner, the latest winner in the F4 United Arab Emirates Championship, the true Emirati, Rashid Al Daheri, who lives literally a few minutes from the circuit here. What an absolute heart-wrenching moment that is. Fabulous, fabulous display and a great result. Totally, totally deserved. And that is a very happy podium indeed. 3 very happy men. Enzo Deligny achieves his ambition to score a podium out here in the UAE. He can be very happy with that. And the Red Bull youngster, who is a very charming and very delightful young man, definitely deserves that. Kiano Al Azari picks up the championship lead. Lucas Samalisto, of course, picks up the Rookie Cup victory as well. But Rashid Al Daheri becomes the latest winner in the F4 United Arab Emirates Championship. Absolutely superb. Well, there's a long way still to go in the championship. 3 races left and 75 points still to fight for. But the biggest cheer goes for Kiano Al Azari, the new championship leader. And Rashid Al Daheri, our race winner. That's a wonderful, wonderful moment for the whole nation, not just for Rashid, and certainly for the Emirate of Abu Dhabi. That's a big moment. Local boy makes good. So there's 3 races to go in the championship, and it's going to be a 3-man battle for the title. Kiano Al Azari, Freddie Slater and Kian Nakamura-Berta. They will enjoy that battle to the final checkered flag, and so will we. Join us in a week's time when we have Formula Regional Middle East and F4 UAE. The drivers get busy with the fizzy here at Yas Marina, and we cannot wait to celebrate whoever the new champion is going to be a week from now in the F4 UAE Championship. I'm Jake Sanson. Thank you so much for being with us. In a week's time, we'll have 2 new champions in Formula Regional Middle East and F4 UAE. Who are they going to be? Tune in a week's time to find out.